Hello, welcome back for the first part of the chapter 3.3 notes. This is all about the equation of a line. So there are two pieces to writing an equation of a line in the slope-intercept form. Two things. You can think of it like a puzzle, and when you have those two pieces, you can just put them into the form of the puzzle. And the two pieces that you need are the slope and the y-intercept. And then for any x that you put in as an input with that slope and intercept will give you the correct y. So the first example I'd like to go through is when you've been actually given both things. When you've been given both items, you just need to write them in, put them into the puzzle. So we've been given the slope as a -6, and we've been given the y-intercept as 4/3. So we can simply write that as y equals a -6x plus 4/3. And if we go back to the ideas of graphing, this tells us that we have a basic graph at a -6x that goes through the origin, and it's just shifted up by 4/3. The next one says we have 0 slope and our y-intercept is at 3/4. Okay, so we can put them both into the equation. 0 slope plus 3/4. And when there's 0 slope, that means that we have just a horizontal line at 3/4. So my equation is just y equals 3/4. And the third one, again, they gave us the slope and the y-intercept, so we can plug them right into our equation. Y equals 5/12x minus 3/2, because our y-intercept is negative. Now, we can learn how to pull some things out of an equation of a line. So we've been given an equation of a line, y equals a -4x plus 1, and it says find the slope of a line parallel to that. So what we know about parallel lines, and if we draw this right here, it says parallel. So parallel lines have the same slope. That's what we know. And so if we know the slope in this equation, m1, it's in y equals mx plus b form. So the slope is just a -4. That means that m2 also is a -4. Now it says find the slope of a line perpendicular to that same equation, y equals a -4x. So perpendicular lines have slope 1 times slope 2 equals a -1. So we already know slope 1 is a -4 right here. And so that means that slope 2 is the opposite sign, so it's a positive, and the reciprocal. So we're going to imagine that this is a -4 over 1. And so the reciprocal of that would be 1 over 4. So there is the new slope. I identified my given slope as m1 and my new slope as m2. Find the slope of a line parallel to this equation. Okay, so we have parallel lines, so m1 will equal m2. We have to find m1. The only thing is our equation is not in the slope-intercept form. So to be in the slope-intercept form, it needs to be in y equals mx plus b, where we've solved for y. So we're going to put x on the other side. So we have a -5y equals a -3x minus 4. I'm writing my x term first. We cannot combine the -3 and -4 because they're not like terms. This is an x term and this is a constant. And then if we divide by a -5, we have to divide each term by a -5. So now it's in y equals mx plus b form. Y equals a -3 divided by -5. It's gonna be positive, and we're gonna leave it as just 3/5 x. And -4 over -5 is a positive 4 over 5. So now that we have our equation in this form, we know what our old slope is. So m1 is equal to 3 over 5. So m2 also equals 3 over 5 because they're parallel. Now part D says, find the slope of a line perpendicular to 3x minus 5y equals a -4. Well, we've already solved for y, so we know that we can just reuse this. Y equals 3/5 x plus 4/5. So perpendicular slopes or perpendicular lines mean that m1 times m2 equals a -1. We know that's true. And we know that m1 is 3 over 5. So m2 is negative because it's always the opposite sign and the reciprocal. So it's a -5/3. Okay, so we're getting good at moving equations around. Example 3, for each of the following lines, name the slope and y-intercept, then write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Okay, so I'm going to find the y-intercept first if I can. It looks like it's right there. Y-intercept at 0, 2. So we need the slope and the y-intercept. So we know the y-intercept is at 2, and the slope is the change in y over the change in x. So if I can count that down, it looks like if I'm at 2, I go 1, 2. So I'm going down 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. My x is increasing by 4 to go from this point to this point. Always move left to right. So down 2 and over 4. So that reduces to a -1/2. So my slope is a -1/2. There is my equation. Okay. We're going to move left to right, but this time you can see that the slope is going to be positive, so we'll be on the lookout for that. And we're going to assume that's at 3 right there. So we are looking for something x plus y-intercept. So it looks like my y-intercept is at 0, -2. So that's going to be a -2 over here. And then to find my slope, my change in y over my change in x. So my change in y is going up this time. So I'm going up 1, 2, and then going 1, 2, 3 to the right to get to my next point. So to find the slope using the graph, you're just going from one point to the other. So I'm going from this point here at a 0, -2 to get to this point here at 3, 0. So I'm going up 2 and then to the right 3. So my slope is 2/3. Okay. Now, the next examples, I'm going to be giving you less and less And you're gonna have to find more and more on your own to get to the puzzle pieces for the slope and the y-intercept. So example 4 says, for each of the following lines, the slope and one point on the line are given. Write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Okay. So I like to write the outline down here because then I know what I'm going for, something x plus something. So I know the slope, so I can fill that in. That's awesome. And then a point. So I can use that point and start in the slope, the point slope form, which says y minus the y you're given, so a -5 equals the slope times x minus the x you're given. So it's y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. So this is y plus 5 equals 2 times x plus 1. And now I have to distribute my 2. So I have y plus 5 equals 2x plus 2. And then I want it in slope-intercept form, so I need to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 5. So we have 2x plus 2 minus 5 is y equals 2x minus 3. So the y-intercept is a -3. Okay. B. My outline is down here. They told me my slope is a -1/3, so I'm going to fill that in down in my puzzle. And then I'm going to use my format to find my y-intercept. So y subtracting a -4 equals a -1/3 times x minus 3. So y plus 4 equals a -1/3 x plus a -1/3 times 3 is just 1. And then I'm going to subtract 4, and we have y equals a -1/3 x minus 3. So once again, my y-intercept is a -3. It will not always happen like that. It just happens to be the 2 examples I picked out resulted in a y-intercept at -3. Okay. So I showed you earlier the point slope form. That is y minus the y1 you've been given equals slope times x minus the x1 you've been given. That's our point slope form. And then our standard form is where both the x term and the y term are on the one side and your constant is on the right. Okay. So number 5 says, find the equation of the line that passes through each pair of points. Write your answers in either slope, intercept, or standard form. Okay. So I like slope intercept form because my outline is y equals something x plus something, where something x is my slope and b is my y-intercept. I'm going to make a note there on the bottom right. So I'm not given my slope this time, and I'm not given my y-intercept. So the first thing I'm going to do is find my slope. And so my -5 subtracting 1 over a -2 subtracting a -4. So I have a -6 over a -2 plus 4 is a -6 over 2 is a -3. So my slope is a -3. Then I'm going to use the point slope form to find my y-intercept. So I'm going to use this point here, a -4 and 1. So y minus 1 equals my slope times x minus x1. So y minus 1, this x minus the -4 becomes a +4, and then I'm going to distribute my -3. So I have a -3x minus 12. And then to solve for y, I'm going to add 1. So we have y equals a -3x minus 11. So my equation is y equals a -3x minus 11. Okay, flip the page here. The last problem on this video is letter B. The rest of the problems on your notes will be in the second part of the video. It may be worth watching those for extra examples. So again, my outline is going to be y equals something x plus b for my slope and my y-intercept. So my slope first is a -6 subtracting a -2 over a -3 subtracting a -6. So we have a -6 plus 2 over a -3 plus 6. So a -4 over 3 is my slope. -4/3 in my, right here in my puzzle. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to choose this point to use my point slope form. So y minus a -2 equals my slope of a -4/3 times x minus a -6. So y plus 2 equals a -4/3 times x plus 6. And then I have to distribute through. So y plus 2 equals a -4/3 x minus 4/3 times 6. So 3 goes into 6 twice. So we have y plus 2 equals a -4/3 x minus 8. So I'm just going to rewrite it up here to have more space, and I'm just going to tidy it up. So the only thing we have to do to get y alone is subtract 2, so I don't have to worry about anything with that fraction. So y equals a -4/3 x minus 10. So my y-intercept is a -10. So here's my equation. So at the beginning of this lesson, we started out giving you the slope and the y-intercept, and then we slowly learned how to go from it only having 2 points to finding our equation. Check out the part 2 video for some extra problems, and then I'll see you for the next lesson.